Most women don't realize this, but the texts you're ignoring could be the loudest declarations of love you'll ever receive. You're waiting for paragraphs, analyzing his response time, wondering why he's not more expressive. But here's the truth. When a man is crazy about you, genuinely obsessed in the most beautiful way possible, he doesn't send you essays. He sends you 3 words, 3 specific words that reveal everything his heart feels, but his mouth can't say. And these aren't the obvious ones. Not "I love you" or "I miss you." Those come later when he's comfortable, when the risk feels smaller. The 3-word texts I'm talking about show up in the middle of his day, in the quiet moments when he's thinking about you and can't help himself. They slip out before he can overthink them, before he can edit himself or play it cool. And if you've been receiving these messages and brushing them off as casual conversation, you've been missing the clearest signs that you're occupying serious space in his mind and heart. Because men don't text just to fill silence. They text when something inside them demands connection. When the urge to reach you overrides their fear of looking too interested. Here's the twist. These 3-word texts often look so ordinary that most women completely overlook their significance. You might read them and think, "That's nice," then move on with your day. But what you're missing is the weight behind them, the emotional risk he took sending them, the fact that out of everyone in his contacts, everyone in his world, he chose to reach out to you right then with those specific words. And once you understand what these texts really mean, you'll never look at your messages the same way, because suddenly you'll see his feelings spelled out in every notification. Let's dive in. When it comes to texting, men operate from a completely different emotional playbook than women. For most women, texting is an extension of conversation. It's connection, maintenance, emotional check-ins throughout the day. But for men, especially men who are genuinely interested in you, every text carries weight. Every message is a calculated risk. Every word is chosen, even when it looks effortless. This is where the confusion begins. You're expecting emotional depth and lengthy explanations when he's giving you concentrated truth in the smallest possible package. Let's talk about what's happening in his brain. When a man feels deeply attracted to you, emotionally and physically, his brain releases dopamine every time he thinks about you or interacts with you. That neurochemical surge creates a compulsion, not a casual desire, but an actual need to make contact, to hear from you, to know you're thinking about him too. So when he sends you a text, especially a short one, he's often responding to that internal pull, that voice in his head saying, "Reach out, connect, let her know you exist." But here's where male psychology gets interesting. Men are wired to associate vulnerability with weakness. From boyhood, they're taught that expressing feelings openly, especially romantic ones, makes them less masculine, less attractive, less in control. So even when a man is consumed by thoughts of you, even when you're the first thing he thinks about in the morning and the last thing before sleep, he'll rarely spell that out directly. Instead, he'll communicate his feelings through action, through consistency, through small, seemingly insignificant texts that actually carry massive emotional significance. This is why the 3-word text is so revealing. It's short enough that he can maintain his emotional guard. He can tell himself, "I'm just being friendly, I'm just checking in, it's casual." But the act itself, the fact that he's initiating contact, that he's thinking about you in the middle of his busy day, that he's finding reasons to bridge the distance between you, that tells the real story. His words might be simple, but his behavior is screaming that you matter. Interestingly, research shows that men actually think about the people they're romantically interested in more frequently than women do, but they express it less often. So that gap between what he's feeling and what he's saying creates tension. And that tension has to release somewhere. It releases in these short, spontaneous texts. 3 words that feel safe enough to send, but meaningful enough to satisfy his need to connect. He's not playing games. He's navigating the complex territory between wanting you and not wanting to scare you away by coming on too strong. Another crucial factor is emotional safety. A man will only consistently reach out to you if he feels that his efforts are welcome. If he senses warmth, receptivity, and genuine interest from your end, those 3-word texts will start showing up more frequently because you've become his safe space, the person he can be a little vulnerable with without being judged or rejected. And once a man identifies you as emotionally safe, his communication patterns shift. He starts revealing more of himself, even if it's just 3 words at a time. But not all men express interest confidently. Some get nervous around the women they're most attracted to. Their texts might seem too casual or even distant, Not because they don't care, but because they're terrified of saying the wrong thing. They'll send those 3 words and immediately second guess themselves. Was that too much? Not enough? Did I sound desperate? This overthinking often results in messages that look simple on the surface, but took genuine courage to send. So if his texts seem brief or careful, don't automatically assume disinterest. He might be protecting a heart that's far more invested than you realize. In short, male texting behavior is layered with hidden meaning. It's not about the length of his messages or how poetic his words are. It's about frequency, timing, and the emotional subtext underneath. When you learn to read that subtext, those 3-word texts transform from casual exchanges into clear declarations of how deeply you've gotten under his skin. Now let's decode the specific phrases that reveal he's absolutely crazy about you. Let's start with one of the most powerful 3-word texts a man can send, and it's one most women completely underestimate: thinking about you. On the surface, it seems sweet but generic, something anyone might send. But here's what you need to understand. When a man texts you these 3 words, especially unprompted, especially in the middle of his day, when he's busy with work, with life, with 1,000 other things demanding his attention, you are his priority in that moment. Not just a passing thought, a consuming presence. Think about it. Men don't randomly broadcast their inner emotional state. They're not sitting around documenting every feeling that crosses their mind. So when he takes the time to stop what he's doing, pull out his phone, and tell you that you're on his mind, that's significant. That's him saying, I can't focus on anything else right now because you're taking up all the space in my head. He's revealing that you've become important enough to interrupt his day, important enough to risk looking interested, important enough that he needs you to know he's thinking about you. What makes thinking about you even more powerful is its vulnerability. He's admitting that you occupy his thoughts without knowing how you'll respond. You could ignore it, you could give him a dry reply, you could leave him on read. He knows all of this, and he's sending it anyway, because the compulsion to connect with you is stronger than his fear of rejection. That's not casual interest, that's emotional investment. Pay attention to when he sends this text. Is it late at night when he's alone with his thoughts? That means you're his comfort, the person he wants to end his day thinking about. Is it during his lunch break, in the middle of a hectic workday? That means even when he's stressed and overwhelmed, you're his mental escape. Is it randomly on a weekend morning? That means you're part of his peaceful moments, the person he wants to share his downtime with. The timing tells you what role you play in his emotional landscape. Also, notice how he follows up. Does he send thinking about you and then wait for your response? That's him hoping you'll reciprocate, hoping you'll tell him you've been thinking about him too. Does he send it and immediately follow with a question or suggestion to meet up? That's him using his feelings as a bridge to deeper connection. He's not just content with telling you he's thinking about you. He wants to act on those thoughts. He wants to turn that emotional energy into real time together. And when a man consistently transforms his feelings into action, that's when you know he's serious. The next 3-word text that reveals everything. How are you? Now, I know what you're thinking. That's the most basic greeting in the world. Everyone says that. But here's the distinction. When a man who's crazy about you asks, how are you? He's not making small talk. He's opening a door for you to let him into your world. He genuinely wants to know how you're doing, what you're feeling, what's happening in your life. And more importantly, he's creating space for you to share yourself with him because learning about you has become one of his favorite activities. Most people ask, how are you? Out of social obligation. It's a formality, a greeting you toss out and barely wait for the answer to. But when a man asks you this and then actually engages with your response, when he follows up with more questions, when he remembers details from your previous conversations and references them, he's showing you that your inner world matters to him. Your experiences, your emotions, your daily life, it's all fascinating to him because you're fascinating to him. Watch how he responds to your answer. If you say you're stressed, and he immediately wants to know why, wants to help, wants to make it better, that's a man who's emotionally invested in your well-being. If you tell him about something good that happened, and he celebrates with you, matching your energy and enthusiasm, he's aligning himself with your joy. He wants to be the person who knows what's happening in your life, the person you think to share things with, the person who cares about the details. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. When a man consistently checks in on you with how are you, he's building emotional intimacy. He's training you to see him as someone safe to open up to, someone who's present and attentive. someone who values your emotional state. This is foundational behavior for men who are thinking long term. They're not just interested in surface level attraction. They want to know you, really know you. And they're willing to put in the consistent effort of asking and listening to make that happen. The frequency matters too. If he's asking, how are you, once a week, he's interested but cautious. If he's asking every few days, you're becoming part of his routine. If he's asking daily or multiple times throughout the week, you've become essential to his sense of connection and normalcy. He's woven you into his life to the point where checking in on you feels as natural as checking his email or having his morning coffee. You're not an afterthought, you're a priority. And there's another layer here. How are you is also his way of staying relevant in your life. He knows that consistent contact keeps him on your radar. He's making sure that even on days you don't see each other, you're still connecting. He's building a communication pattern that makes you used to hearing from him, used to having him as part of your day. Because men who are serious about you don't disappear. They show up predictably, reliably, even if it's just 3 words in a text. Now, let's talk about a 3-word text that's often misunderstood but incredibly revealing. Miss you already, or its variations. I miss you, missing you today. When a man sends you this, especially after you've just seen each other, he's telling you that your presence left an imprint. That being with you felt so good, so right, so fulfilling that your absence is now noticeable and uncomfortable. He's not ready for the connection to end just because the physical time together has. Most men are not comfortable admitting they miss someone. It feels vulnerable. It feels like handing over power. It feels like admitting that someone else has become necessary to their happiness. So when he texts you that he misses you, he's overriding all of those protective instincts because the feeling is too strong to ignore. He's choosing emotional honesty over ego protection. And that choice tells you everything about how much you mean to him. Pay attention to the context. Did you just spend the day together and he's texting you that same night saying he already misses you? That's a man who can't get enough of you. Being with you for hours wasn't enough to satisfy his desire for your company. Did you have a great conversation and now he's saying he misses talking to you? He's addicted to the connection you share. You make him feel something that nobody else does. Did he text you, I miss you, out of nowhere on a random Tuesday? You're not just in his thoughts, you're in his heart. He's carrying you with him emotionally, even when you're apart. What makes this text even more significant is what it implies about the future. When a man tells you he misses you, he's indirectly saying he wants more time with you. He's expressing dissatisfaction with the current amount of contact and hoping you feel the same way. It's an invitation, a gentle push towards spending more time together, talking more, building more. He's testing the waters to see if you're as invested as he is. If you reciprocate that feeling. Also, consider how often he says it. If I miss you shows up regularly in his texts. You've become someone he's emotionally dependent on in a healthy way. You're part of his happiness formula. When things are good in his life, he wants to share that with you. When things are hard, he wants your comfort. When things are boring, he wants your energy. Missing you has become his baseline state when you're not around. And he's not afraid to tell you that because he's hoping you'll help him fix it by being present more often. Some men will even get creative with variations. Wish you were here. Could use your company. You'd love this. All of these are ways of saying, I miss you, without the vulnerability of those exact words. He's including you in his experiences mentally. He's imagining you next to him. He's thinking about what would make the moment better. And the answer is always you. When a man's brain automatically inserts you into every scenario when he can't enjoy something fully without wishing you were there to share it, he's not just interested, he's attached. Beyond these 3 core phrases, there are other 3-word texts that deserve your attention because they reveal similar depths of feeling. Good morning, beautiful. Sleep well tonight. Can't stop smiling. You made my day. Each of these carries emotional weight that goes far beyond the simple words on your cast screen. Let's break down what these really mean and why they matter. Good morning, beautiful, or any variation that includes a term of endearment shows that you're his first thought when he wakes up. Before he's checked his work emails, before he's scrolled social media, before he's done anything else, he's thinking about you and wanting to make sure you know it. He's setting the tone for your day by injecting warmth and affection into it. He wants to be the reason you smile first thing in the morning. That's a man who's making you part of his daily routine in the most intentional way possible. Sleep well tonight means he's your last thought too, or at least he wants to be. He's tucking you in emotionally, creating a sense of care and protectiveness. Making sure you end your day feeling thought of and valued Men who send goodnight texts consistently are men who want to bookend your day with their presence. They want to be the voice you hear in the quiet moments before sleep. They're building intimacy through reliability and tenderness. Can't Stop Smiling is him admitting that you affect him physically, that thinking about you, talking to you, being around you creates a reaction in his body that he can't control. His face literally responds to you. And he's telling you this because he wants you to know the power you have over him. He's not playing it cool. He's not hiding his enthusiasm. He's letting you see that you make him genuinely happy in a way that shows on his face. You made my day is massive because it's an acknowledgement of impact. Out of everything that happened to him in the last 24 hours, you are the highlight. You are the thing worth commenting on. You are what turned a regular day into a good one. He's telling you that your presence, your words, your attention has value to him, real, measurable value that improves his quality of life. When a man consistently tells you that you make his days better, he's building a case for why you should be in his life permanently. Here's what ties all of these 3-word texts together. They're all forms of emotional vulnerability wrapped in brevity. He's giving you pieces of his heart in bite-sized portions because that feels manageable to him, safer than pouring everything out at once. But don't mistake the size of the message for the size of the feeling. These short texts are just the visible tip of a much larger emotional iceberg. What he's feeling beneath the surface is vast, deep, and overwhelming. He's just learning how to let you see it a little bit at a time. So now that you know which 3-word texts reveal his true feelings, the question becomes, what do you do with this information? How do you respond in a way that honors both his vulnerability and your own worth? Because understanding what these texts mean is only half the equation. The other half is knowing how to engage with them in a way that deepens the connection rather than pushing it away or taking it for granted. The most powerful thing you can do when you receive one of these meaningful 3-word texts is to match his energy with warmth and receptivity. You don't need to play games or wait hours to respond. You don't need to act less interested than you are to seem mysterious. When a man is being genuine with you, the best response is genuine reciprocation. If he says thinking about you and you've been thinking about him too, tell him. If he asks how are you and actually listens to your answer, give him real answers. Let him in. Reward his effort to connect with authentic connection in return. But here's the key. Match his energy without exceeding it in the beginning stages. If he's texting you, I miss you, you can say I miss you too, or I was just thinking the same thing. You don't need to write him a paragraph about how much you've been missing him, unless that feels completely natural to you. The goal is to create a balanced exchange where both people feel safe being vulnerable, where neither person is chasing or withdrawing, where the emotional investment feels mutual and comfortable. Pay attention to patterns. If he consistently reaches out with these meaningful 3-word texts and you consistently respond with warmth, you're building trust. You're showing him that his vulnerability is safe with you, that you see his effort and appreciate it. And when a man feels emotionally safe with you, when he knows his feelings won't be mocked or ignored or taken advantage of, he'll open up more. Those 3-word texts will evolve into longer conversations, deeper admissions, clearer expressions of how much you mean to him. So if you've been receiving these messages, if you've noticed a pattern of thinking about you and how are you and I miss you showing up in your inbox more often, if you've felt that maybe, possibly, hopefully these mean something more than surface level small talk, trust that instinct. You're not imagining it. You're not reading too much into it. You're seeing exactly what's there. A man who's crazy about you in the way that actually matters. Not crazy in a reckless, unstable way, but crazy in the sense that you've gotten into his system, into his thoughts, into his daily rhythms and patterns, into the space where his most honest feelings live. And often, that's exactly how the deepest, most lasting love begins. Not with fireworks and fanfare, but with 3 simple words sent at unexpected moments. Words that say, I was thinking about you. Words that ask, how are you really? Words that admit, I miss you more than I planned to. Because when a man opens that door, even just a crack, even just 3 words wide, he's inviting you into his inner world. And if you choose to walk through that door with the same honesty and courage he showed in opening it, you might just discover that those 3 words were the beginning of something neither of you saw coming, but both of you have been waiting for your whole lives. The truth is, when it's real, you don't need to question it. The 3-word texts become a language you both understand. A private code that says everything that matters without saying too much. And in a world where everyone's performing and posturing and playing games, there's something beautiful about a man who just sends you 3 honest words and trusts that you'll understand the universe.